Okay, in this tutorial we're going to take a look at the difference between prompting with grids and prompting with text. There are a lot of models out there that can do the diagram or grid related input image, and Vidu Q3 is one of them. To give an example about how to do this, I'm going to use an image that someone sent to me when I was still running a trial on this, and someone sent me this image, and I made a fighting style video. They got access to the video input on their own, and they were having some trouble with the input data. This right here, the prompt number 1, is the prompt that they were using. If you notice, they've got the shots outlined, what shots they want specifically and in order, the shots numbered, and they've got the original input image here. Now this works well with some of the other models. Some of the other models can take a lot of information in text form, but just because something works with one model doesn't mean it's going to work on all models, and that's why you need to be flexible with your prompting technique. What I've discovered works better with Q3 is you want to save the text area for things like overall camera motion or a aesthetic guidance. What you want to do is leave the text information for guidance, soundtrack, and sound effects and dialogue, because if you put too much text in your prompt, it is distracting for the model. And if your main goal is to have and kind of interesting dynamic fight scenes, if that's just one request out of probably, like, you've got 7 here, and then you're also going to have your dialogue and you're going to have your other sound effects, which can only be conveyed through text, that initial desire to have like a fully dynamic fight scene with bouncing camera movement is going to be lost in the shuffle. This is the prompt she tried at first, and the results for the first prompt. If you get an output like that, chances are there's kind of a miscommunication between you and the model, and you want to rethink your technique. What I noticed is that even though she was very specific in the shots that she wanted, there was plenty of room for interpretation. But if she wants something very specific, the way to go about this is to use a grid. I took her exact same information that she wanted to convey. I put this information in with the starting image that we saw before in order to get a 3x3 grid. You're going to get 9 images. That's a very good amount for an extended generation. So if you're talking about like 15, 16 seconds, you want to go with 3x3, because that gives the model enough information to keep the action going and fresh throughout the entire length of the generation. So again, her original prompt put into Nano Banana creates a grid. If you want to be even more detailed and specific, I'd recommend building your own grid in Photoshop. If you want to get your vision into the grid as opposed to just relying on Nano Banana's vision, you want to build that grid out yourself. Another tip that I would say for keyframes, don't use the concept of like seconds, like this happens and then this happens this many seconds later and this happens this many seconds after that, but use the concept of story beats, and that usually comes out better than just saying what happens 1 or 2 seconds later for the next 9 frames. And then if you want to get even more specific, you can put a number in the corner of each one of these. With that grid, I changed up the prompt. Jump over and show you the video for the second prompt. That one kept a lot of the high-paced action that she was hoping to have. What was important or key here is that a lot of these images in the grid were used to sort of steer the action for the underlying video, and it resulted in a better generation. If you want a stylistic cinematic fight scene to continue on throughout your prompt, what you want to do is prompt basically only for that with a small prompt, and any visuals you want to see, you want to put them in a grid so it can follow it. Now, if you do use the grid method, you're going to lose half a second or so at the beginning because it is going to start from the grid, but it's pretty good at immediately cutting over to your action after that. If I wanted dialogue of some sort or sound effects, I'd add them here, and the action coming out the way you want it if you keep your prompt short. To kind of prove that short prompts work well, the very first time that I made a prompt for this image, I didn't use a grid and kept a short prompt. The reason why that also is very interesting and dynamic is there's even less control being put on it, and the only emphasis is on the very small amount of tokens and the original image that comes from this very short prompt. So with Q3, I think the real key is very precise short prompts, and using grids, especially with longer generations. I hope this was helpful in your prompting, and I thank you for listening.